cancel the show. I think we're at the point
We
where
push
we
a
jumped the
button?
shark repeatedly, and I think it's time that we cancel this. It's getting rough. Just
canceled?
just kill us now. Kill it.
I'm kind of hungry. And then my doctor was like, no, you can't put that in there.
Yeah.
That's what she said, right?
But you can. You just you need Novocaine. Yeah.
Well, not just
Then
Novocaine.
it'll
You
fit.
have to get the consensual forms out of the way first so they don't sue you like a certain person that might be spinning the wheel.
Speaking of my cavern, Brandon, I watched that documentary you suggested, The Rescue. Holy crap. What a crazy documentary.
Whoa, yeah. What the rescue?
What is going
The one
on?
with the Thai soccer team who got stuck in the caves.
Oh, I didn't recommend you watch that.
I'm
Somebody else did.
99.9% sure that you recommended that to me.
What's up,
crazy.
guys? Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Clickbait Sports.
Oh, it's a show.
I am not even hosting. Like, I just feel like
show.
I had to do that. Otherwise,
Well, you have
it
to
was,
stop.
I feel like we should
nonsense?
still cancel the show.
it was going in a weird direction. But listen,
documentary was really
we
good.
have
though.
a great show planned for you today. Joining me, it is none other than the biggest Denver Broncos fan. Let's ride. Okay?
That's right.
Mr. Brandon Perna, CEO of Bench Warmer Brew. Brandon, how are you doing today?
That's right.
To Brandon's side, we have the biggest yinzer known in humanity. He goes by the name of Urinating Tree. Tree, what is going on today?
Well, not too much, sir. All I know is another day of destroying the Denver Broncos' dreams and the Steelers going to the Super Bowl.
Whoa.
Listen, anything is possible any given Sunday. Below Tree, we have the biggest Packers fan. I've watched every episode of Coach from this man. This is a creative genius. Can we get some W's in the chat for Mr. TDG himself, Tom Daniel Grassi? Tom,
Yes.
what's going on?
Listen,
Right?
just recording videos and taking names, and I'm all out of names. I've just been recording a lot of videos.
Yes, yes. Listen,
pretty
I need
much.
the next episode of Coach immediately.
Next year, buddy, 2023.
Okay.
It'll be.
My gosh.
Oh,
You know why I'm doing. Oh my! Here we go. Here we go.
Mega,
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we
yeah.
have a great show planned for you today. A lot's been going on in the NFL. We begin with Deshaun Watson. Okay.
Wow. Yeah,
The
let me
NFL
set this
take
up.
it away,
Scooter.
Brandon. Take
let
it
me
away.
set this up because I want to serve this off to the great urinating tree. This week we saw Deshaun Watson get suspended for 6 games.
Yes.
Now he's not suspended for minimum 6 games. NFL's appealing. The Dolphins got into a world of crap. Tom Brady was a little bit involved. Hollywood Brown was speeding. But as soon as the Watson news came out, I can't tell you how many people referenced your wheel of punishment to me.
yes.
It's like they want me to do the wheel of punishment. I'm like, that's Tree's thing. I'm not going to do it for him.
I mean, you got to wait till this stuff pans out before you start doing a video. Because if the NFL starts appealing and they magically tweak the wheel of discipline to go from 6 games to lose a turn or 2 games to bankruptcy, you know what? You got to wait for that to happen. There's so much more that has to go on. You have to remember, too, that Calvin Ridley got suspended an entire year for a $1,500 parlay, even though you make the argument that it is gambling and that is forbidden. While Deshaun Watson has at least 50 happy endings and gets suspended roughly a third of a game per woman accuser. So, you know what? I think that is the glory of the wheel. It is impartial. It is unbiased. It doesn't take feelings or thought or
Crazy
logic
wheel.
into any consideration. It is a simple wheel. You spin it. And I feel like that's the fairest judgment of all. So if I feel like that should happen for all crime. If you steal a loaf of bread and you spin on death penalty, you get the Wheel of Fortune sound, and then you're immediately hung. So you know what?
I do not
think that
want
works
to
out.
live in Tree's world. Dear
It's
God,
always Hank.
no.
If we're talking about death by
double
noose,
murder, you spin on
always
free
Hank.
pass.
Just so you know, it's always hanged.
Oh, nice! I got a free pass and I collect $200.
I cannot live in
Family's
that world.
never gonna forgive you. Well, the wheel did.
Well, you know what? Hey, you can't try double jeopardy in America, baby.
Do we think
Wheels decide.
Deshaun Watson's punishment was fair? Let's start there. Was this punishment fair?
Well, the 6-game suspension is weird, and that's why the NFL is appealing it. And I think the thing that's getting lost here is the NFL did not decide this punishment. The third-party arbitrator did, which is a new process they established with the last CBA. And this is the first time they've went through this process. Now, some are suggesting that the arbitrator is setting up the NFL to look like the heroes and come in and give out a fair punishment. Based on her findings, she said she thought the NFL presented enough information that Deshaun Watson was guilty of sexual assault, that he violated the collective bargaining agreement multiple times, but there was only precedent for her to do the 6-game suspension. So now we wait and see how the rest of this appeal process works. Bottom line, Roger Goodell still has final say. He's appointed the person who's going to hear the appeal, which has to be somebody that's going to think similarly to him, I would imagine. I don't know why somebody who has that much power would appoint somebody they don't think is going to side with them on how they want this to go. And the NFL wants a year-long suspension, and I think that's what's ultimately going to happen.
I have a question, okay, because I have not been up on it as much as possible. Can someone explain to me why the NFLPA was saying we just need to accept the punishment, right? Everyone needs to accept what's going to come out. Why did they say this? And to me, that's reminiscent of they knew that this was going to be a lenient punishment coming down. Why would they say this beforehand? Does anyone have any question or any answer to that?
I think the NFLPA is just trying to protect one of their players. I think that's what they do for every situation. So that's why they're saying this out loud, even though you can make the argument, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Deshaun Watson was accused 22 times. He was never charged with a crime. He has settled with a bunch of his lawsuits. And there was like some consensual action there, or some alleged consensual action between a few of them. So that's probably what they're going off of. They're probably going off of, okay, it's not concrete that this man committed a crime. It's not an ideal situation, but at the same time, they're trying to protect one of their own, that he doesn't get screwed over. That's what the NFLPA is doing.
It's, to me, though, if you're Ezekiel Elliott, what the heck are you thinking? Because you get suspended for this same amount of time. One, not 20, not 5, not 10, not 15, not 22, one allegation.
What were the allegations against him? I can't even remember.
It was domestic violence, but he
domestic,
was never
right?
charged with a crime.
Never charged. This man was never charged. So
Same as
to
Jaron
me,
Reed,
it's-
same
it's
suspension,
just like,
same
bro,
crime, never charged with a crime.
what are we doing? At least it's like the NFLPA saying, okay, well, this is all I could go off of. What? It's just bizarre to me. It's bizarre to me that one person's punishment where it's very similar and another person where it's 22 different people, same length. I don't know. I don't know. Chat, what do you guys think about this? Weigh in as well.
I mean, my thing and I mentioned this on GPS, but I just don't understand how the judge can be like, hey, this guy like can't go out and get other masseuses anymore. He has to use like the team's masseuses because it's like you can't trust him to now go out and not do what he has done in the past. And I feel like it's just such an icky, like gross story. And I don't know how that translates to 6 games, but I as I've said now this entire time, there's no winner here. Like there's no way even if the NFL comes in and it's like, hey, it's a year, right? Like they decide it's a year suspension. Okay, that's the same exact thing that Calvin Ridley got for a $1,500 parlay. Like there's no winner. Like eventually Deshaun Watson is going to see the field.
You know why it's disgusting even more? because this man was taking pictures with children. Did y'all see this?
Oh, they're all getting the
has-
autograph and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Once again, if you're an athlete and you're really good, you pretty much have Teflon. You can get away with a lot of crap. And Pittsburgh saw it with a certain quarterback that just retired. So Cleveland, have fun with that.
And they like rolled out, like the red carpet and was just like, he's leaving. Like, it's the farewell.
Oh, dude,
tour.
it was propaganda. It was something North Korea would blush at. You remember that final thing on NBC after the wild card game? They called him wholesome family man. They called him dependable, honest. It's like, what?
Yep.
I have to find that.
Okay, so let's take a prediction. What do we think the punishment will actually be, right? 6 games, NFLPA. They say we will accept this. What do we think it will actually be?
Mecca, you son of
Oh, they coming for Perna today.
Because I do believe, personally, I think it's going to be a year. I think the NFL is going to come down with a year and a significant fine as well, personally.
I think the NFL is going to probably do indefinite, and then the NFLPA is going to go after him, and they're just going to settle on a year. I think they'll wind up settling on the season and be like, okay, now everybody's happy, or best of both worlds. So I imagine it's going to be a season.
Yeah,
and I mean the Browns do too. I think just the way they structured everything.
It's weird that Watson and the NFLPA didn't take the NFL's offer of the 12-game suspension, $10 million fine. Looking at that now, it's probably going to cost Watson more money if they take this to federal court and he can come back after week 6 while it plays out in federal court, and then they don't rule in his favor, then the NFL could, in theory, suspend him from games in 2023, where he's poised to lose a lot more money because it's not all protected by the Browns for this. It's protected for this season. After that, he's going to give up more. I think there's some protection in the second year with the Browns, but you probably lose more than that $10 million in games that he's not playing. And then the NFL would probably also be free to fine him on top of that. So I think that probably another thing that upsets people about this is that Watson has never shown any sort of remorse for the situation. And that's what Sue Robinson said based on his testimony, that he didn't show any remorse. She didn't believe his testimony. And it's just one of the things where it seems like he is sticking to his story just because he thinks that's the best approach. Or he might be a sociopath. I don't know at this point. To keep just nah, I didn't do nothing. So we'll see. I don't think it's going to work out.
Tree, what do you think? How long do you actually think the suspension will come down to?
I think it should be a minimum of 8 games. I think that's the least you can really do for the situation. I feel like they're going to overreact because of all the backlash coming from everybody. Same thing that kind of happened in Ray Rice, but that had new evidence as well. So what's going to happen is they're going to try and appease a bunch of people that flipped out over this rightfully and at the same time kind of unrightfully, but it is pretty rightful. But they're going to come out and say at least a year. It's going to be one of those things where they just throw the book at him just because they want to try and calm the tensions that are coming.
All right. Fair enough.
Boom.
We move on. And this is what, no, stop. Listen, here's what I want to know. Okay. The Cowboys recently signed someone. Okay. We finally signed someone in free agency. We signed Anthony Barr. Here's what I want to know.
Hey, that's a good thing, man.
Tom? Is this man good? Let me know.
Can I just say that in the thank you Anthony Barr video that the Vikings put out, they put in the clip of Anthony Barr breaking Aaron Rodgers' collarbone. I'm just how petty of a franchise are you? I mean, I already knew, but
I will remember you.
No, I don't care. I don't.
You know what? I enjoy that, man. I really enjoy that.
I've been told, because I don't watch that much footage on Vikings, but I've been told Anthony Barr, the player comp, is Micah Parsons, who is injury prone with one knee. Is that anywhere close to
I thought thought you were comparing him to the talent of Micah Parsons. Like Anthony Barr was very good. I think he's kind of on his last legs now.
Yeah.
I think you're kind of getting a rotational guy, but I mean, you at least got one guy. So
You
Yeah,
got insurance
he
in
was,
case like Van Der Esch or Parsons goes down.
I'd
Jabril
equate him
Cox
to
as
like
well.
a 5th round pick, like an Amari Cooper, for example.
Listen,
Very wise.
speaking of Amari Cooper, some of the beat writers actually were upset that the Cowboys did this, which I did not understand because at least it's something, right? They are still wanting to add a veteran receiver to the Cowboys. And I understand why. If CeeDee Lamb goes down or Jalen Tolbert goes down, you're looking at a very dire situation. But with that said, I do believe this addition will help, especially with depth going forward.
I'll happily be wide receiver 1 for the Dallas Cowboys.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean,
Yeah.
to
I
be
will
fair,
drop
you probably
every
could beat
pass.
out a couple of the
Actually,
Cowboys
like I'll
last
play
time.
well for you guys until week 10, and then and that's going right out the window.
Speaking of punishments, though, wasn't someone else about to come under some sort of punishment for speeding? Does anyone have any?
Hollywood Brown, yes. And not just speeding on the field. I think he went something like 140 miles per hour on
126.
126.
126 is the final number.
126.
Can someone break this down? I didn't get the full story. I just saw he was speeding. What happened?
Well,
He's trying to go back to the future.
yeah.
Flux
He
capacity.
was trying to run
two, as I recall.
He was trying to run the new contract to Kyler Murray that doesn't have the learning clause in it.
What's the fastest you guys have ever been on the highway?
What's the speed limit? 2 miles faster.
Sure. That's what they all say.
Am I
been 100?
driving or no?
Chat, join in. What's the fastest you've ever gone on the highway? What?
I wasn't driving, but I've gone over 100.
I don't think I've hit 100.
I wasn't driving. That's happened twice to me. Actually, 3 times.
Y'all been over 100? Yes or no? Tree.
Bad.
Me driving?
I've been 90, I think.
Yeah, I've hit
but
like 90.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're on a racetrack, I can just say like, oh, I hit 165 miles per hour.
Brandon, you been over 100?
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe like one of my dumb friends was driving.
Yeah.
But the fastest I ever felt in a car was when the Teslas first came out, like the sports car Teslas, and they go faster now, but it's like 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds. Getting to do like that acceleration, because I was like doing like a documentary thing on it, that was pretty crazy. But I think we stopped at like 70 because we only had a short runway, so there's no choice.
I did a campaign with NASCAR.
Yeah.
And I got to ride in the pace car once. I almost threw up. Bro, I did not know how fast these people are actually going.
Oh, yeah.
Once I got out of that pace car, I
fast.
understood NASCAR drivers are athletes. Okay, all
Heard
these
it here
people
first.
Physical condition, dude. I
It's
mean, there are
just
people that have
driving.
died of heart
No,
attacks during
it's
driving
not
school.
just driving. These people have to maintain mental acuity. I don't even know what that word means, but they have to have it whilst driving almost 200 miles per hour, bro. This is crazy.
Do you know how many G's the 200 miles per hour is going to put in your body?
Not only that, I was like sweating.
It's a ton.
Winner
Physically
rim.
Because you're dealing with a bunch of human sweat, mental will, fortitude,
My
plus a
stomach
bunch of
was
other
hurting.
people are trying to wreck you at the same time.
It's crazy. NASCAR is a sport. I don't care what y'all say. It's crazy. Have I been over 100 though? Huh? Let's move on.
Oh, you have?
You're from
What?
Florida. Of course you have.
But
Like,
I drive a Mustang. Okay.
yeah,
A lot of days
you're
you drive a
driving
Mustang.
Yeah,
I would be
driving a
shocked if
Mustang.
you weren't doing 100.
Yeah, but like how long? See, I think what we are missing from this Hollywood Brown story is like the context around it. It was in the morning. It was not like a DUI, which is huge.
It's a good thing.
Like, did he accidentally start going too fast for a little bit of time, or is he just like going at 126?
I feel like
because,
you
like-
know when you're at 126.
Yeah,
Like, I
you
feel
know
like
when
you
you're
know.
going that fast, but like.
I don't know.
I
don't know if
want
wanna
some
go
more
to
context
120.
around it. And obviously the reason this is kind of a big story is just because of what happened last year with Henry Ruggs. Somebody freaking died by the hands of an NFL player speeding.
Yeah.
It was a DUI, so it's a different thing. But like when you're driving that fast, your car's it's a weapon. You could kill somebody. So
Bro,
like I think this is
yes.
why it looks bad and why like it's probably a bigger story. And in Arizona, they call it criminal speeding if you're going 20 miles over. And he was going, like
it was even
40 or
funnier during
60.
Steve Keim's arrest because he got arrested for extreme DUI, and there's a super extreme DUI as well. So that's what they call it. There's like DUI, there's extreme DUI, and super extreme DUI. It's based on the BAC
this will impact his availability during the season? Does anyone know?
I don't think it will because it's a misdemeanor. Like
he'll
the
probably
only
just
way
get
it would
fined.
is if the NFL's like, this is a bad look based on what happened, and we need to send some sort of message to like other players.
It's the Henry Ruggs situation.
Look, you can accidentally go 100 if you're going downhill and you're in a Mustang. You can accidentally go 100.
See, like that's the thing. I've done like 85, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I was going that fast. But I feel like once you start like getting to like 95, 100, like your car, depending on the car you have, is just like, oh, okay, it's letting me know that something I'm like going into orbit.
Yeah, I drive a truck. It's like,
I don't know.
You know when you're like,
I drive a Hyundai Sonata.
Why is this driving so shitty?
Wow. Okay. Next up, we have the Hall of Fame game. When is this?
Tonight.
And
Ooh,
who is playing?
We got football. We got
How do you know football's not back? Because we don't even know who's playing in the Hall of Fame.
Isn't it the Jaguars and Raiders?
Jags and Raiders.
Jaguars
Jags and
taking on
Raiders.
The Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know if I want to watch the Jaguars, right? Actually, I kind of do. I want to see Trevor Lawrence without Urban Meyer.
He ain't playing tonight.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not watching.
I gotta be honest. I love football. I can't wait. I'm gonna stream 2 of the Packers preseason games, but I'm not gonna watch this because, like,
No, you should live stream it because you should go hog wild whenever the third string running back for Jacksonville
At
decides
least, like,
to go
with
for
the
a
Packers, you know who these players are. Like when it's your own team, you're like, oh, I know who this backup of a backup is. But like, yeah, I don't
Speaking of not watching preseason games, it was revealed that Ezekiel Elliott is not playing in any preseason games. Are any of your players opting out, taking the same route?
Deontay Johnson. He's the big one. He hasn't been in practice yet. He's waiting for a new contract.
Well, he just got his contract today.
He got paid today.
He got paid today. I did not know that.
Yeah, he got a
2-year extension for Deontay.
It was
So, but this is not,
Yep,
this is not
2-year,
even
36.1.
I need
So
to get your guys'
bridge
take
deal.
on this. I need to get your guys' take because this is not even contractual. This is just Zeke saying, look, I've been in the league for a while. I don't need this extra wear on my body. I'm going to be ready for the season.
I don't know why it did not.
Wait, we're talking about Zeke or we're talking about Deontay Johnson? I'm so confused right now.
Oh, I pivoted back. I pivoted back to Zeke.
Pivot?
So Zeke's contract, this is not a contractual issue for Zeke. Zeke's saying that I'm not playing because I don't need to. I don't need this additional wear. I'm a running back. I'm going to be the featured back. I need to make sure I'm ready. What do you guys think about this? Should more players opt to be doing this route, resting their body?
I think like most trusted veteran players sort of get that pass anyway. I don't know why Zeke has to like. So did he like come out and say that he was going to do it, or was he asked like why is he not going to play in preseason?
I didn't see like the reasoning why, but I just saw that Zeke's not playing in any preseason games, and I just assumed, you know what, he doesn't. I would do it too. I would not play in any preseason games. For the Cowboys, it makes a lot of sense though, because now we get to look at an extended look at Tony Pollard being the featured back, right? And this is what a lot of Cowboys fans have been clamoring for. We want to see Tony Pollard. We want to see Tony Pollard. Okay. Now let's see what happens when Tony Pollard can get 20 carries. What happens? Can he hold up? Can Tony Pollard pass protect a whole series? Let's find out. So I think for the Cowboys, this really works out in our favor. But as far as other players, I'm just interested to see. Like, I feel like a lot more veteran players should take advantage and do something similar.
A lot of like Aaron Rodgers, like he hasn't played a preseason game, I think, since like 2018. It's been a while, but he said that he might Matt LaFleur said that there's a possibility that he could just because we have so many new receivers. But if he does, I think it's going to be like for a quarter, maybe even a drive. So I don't see, because I mean, Rodgers himself came out and said, well, Rodgers came out and said a lot of things on that podcast, so I could talk about that. But he came out and basically said that the practice reps are more important than the preseason game anyway.
What did he say on the pod? Fill us in.
Oh, well, so Aaron Rodgers has been experimenting with hallucinogenics and basically has said that he's gone on retreats and
like mushroom hallucinogenics.
Oh yeah, yeah, like but further than that too.
What's further than mushrooms?
There's a really good documentary on Netflix about
the changing your mind one, right?
Yeah.
What's further than mushrooms for psychedelics?
I don't remember the exact plan.
Ayahuasca.
It's like it's the part of DMT, like that part. Gotcha. So it's like a hallucinogenic. Makes you like throw up and all that great stuff. Yeah.
So are you concerned about this, Tom, or are you interested? What's going on?
I mean, I am like kind of, I mean, the guy, it's so funny because the guy's podcast that he's on, like says multiple times, like, this is not a promotion, but Aaron Rodgers is basically like, listen, like I started doing this stuff and I was back-to-back MP. So, I mean, I think it just had, they talked a little bit or a lot about like mental health and talked about how like he got really personal, which I actually enjoyed. And he talked about like the relationship with his family and like how, you know, he was like really down low and like didn't think that he could be loved. And, you know, like this kind of like opened his mind to like new experiences and like kind of helped him deal with some of his issues and stuff. So, yeah, it was an interesting podcast. It's 2.5 hours.
I am fascinated by that, first of all. But it's like, why is the league still punishing people for marijuana? I know they're not testing for it anymore, right? But it's like, look at what Tom is saying. Aaron Rodgers is doing back-to-back MVP. He's experimenting with hallucinogenics, psychedelics, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's exactly what athletes need to be doing. Maybe some of these might reverse or
that's
limit
just his
the
way of
effects
immunizing
CTE.
himself. So you know what? That's fine.
So, I mean, yeah, it's an again, I think that results may vary depending on the person, obviously. You know, it's not like a promotion to go do it, but I think that there is a conversation to be had about, you know, like different forms of
medication.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of promising research, and there was a ton of promising research in the 50s about hallucinogenics, about LSD, and how it has positive impacts for people struggling with depression, and all sorts of things. And then the friggin' Nixon administration comes in, doesn't like the hippies, saying no to their war.
Don't like the
hippies. We got to do another
if you
war,
look nowadays,
this time
though,
on drugs.
Nowadays, though, the research on psychedelics is like I've been looking into this stuff as well. The research is there, like low dose LSD. People are doing this to treat depression. You're seeing it. So it's going to be fascinating over the next couple of years, couple of decades to see like how this plays out, how psychedelics affects people, but also how it affects athletes, because we're going to have some new rules as these new drugs and new therapies start to take place as well.
Deshaun Watson should have to play all of the season high on LSD. Boom.
Hey, it worked for Doc Ellis. He threw a no-hitter on LSD.
Yeah.
Dude was out there, but you know what? I believe him. I want to believe him.
Dude, I want to do it just like to make my YouTube channel better. Like, man,
I feel like that should happen for all
I'm
of
in
us.
a creative rut going on 3 years now. I need to change something.
I'm on 3 months. I thought I was bad.
Kid that just keeps wearing me down.
Well, kids tend to be creative drains. Just saying.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else they would like to talk about? Anything else on the docket or agenda?
Oh yeah, I wanted to
Tim
ask
Patrick.
Tom. Yeah, well, it sucks. Broncos lose Tim Patrick, ACL tear.
Yeah, that sucks.
Just like he's a guy Broncos fans love and root for, and we're like, he's finally got a good quarterback.
Yep.
So many people are gonna see how talented Tim Patrick is. He doesn't get to play this season, which sucks. But we have decent depth at that position. I'm not super worried, but I wanted to ask Tom, because he put out a video about who the Packers' #1 wide receiver will be.
I did.
And I think that's a big question coming out of Packers training camp. who are the guys, Tom? Where did you arrive in conclusion on that list?
So I said the likely candidate. So Romeo Dobbs right now, Dobbs is right now is like lighting it up in camp. He's not necessarily number one, but I made that video like weeks ago, like before camp even started. And I said, like, just looking at the stats, like the college stats, that Romeo Dobbs like he got the lion's share of the receptions, like more than Christian Watson. Like Christian Watson, like turned them into big plays, like the limited stuff that he got. But Romeo, like, just kind of like took it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is going to get a bulk of the receptions. But I think the consensus is definitely Allen Lazard, because you have Aaron Rodgers singing his praises. You have, the whole coaching staff is singing his praises. But the kind of conclusion that I came to in that video is what you're likely going to see is just a more balanced offense, right? You're not going to be able to replicate Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams had 11 touchdowns. Then with MVS, that was 3 touchdowns. So you had 14 touchdowns that you kind of have to make up in the aggregate, right? If you're doing this like Moneyball style. And I think what they're going to do is, now that you have a healthy A.J. Dillon and a healthy Aaron Jones, they are going to run the ball a bit more and just spread it out a ton more. Robert Tonyan coming back, offensive lineman coming back. So I think that, you might see, I think we were ranked 8th last year in offense for passing. That might drop down to like, 10 to 15, but we were 18th in rushing. That might go up into top 10, considering we have 2 really good running backs. So I think that Allen Lazard might finish the year with like 800 yards, something like that. But you're just going to see a more efficient Packers offense that doesn't rely on one player like they did Devontae Adams.
Who retires first, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers?
Same time.
Aaron Rodgers was asked, does he want to play until he's 45? And he said no.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's like, no, I don't. No, I don't. So I think it depends. Does Brady want? Yeah, because we need to talk about this Brady story. Like, does Brady retire after next year, or does he go to the Dolphins next year? Like, can we talk about this for a hot second?
Yes,
because do you remember months ago when this crazy ass story came out that it was like, hey, Tom Brady might fake retire, then go be like a GM or an executive with the Dolphins and name himself like QB?
That's what we forgot
like,
to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so crazy. Like, what a crazy story. And then it comes out that like at least a good chunk of that is true. Like, that's wild. And I'm sorry, what owner goes, I'll give you $100,000 if you lose? I'm totally joking, by the way.
Yeah, they couldn't prove it. So that's the only reason why they didn't get suspended for that. I thought that was the reason.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. We forgot to mention this. The Dolphins forfeited a 2023 first-round pick, and I think it was third round?
2024 third.
Yeah.
2024 third-round pick.
They got lucky.
Because it was revealed. What was revealed? Like, what actually was said for the punishment?
Tampering. Basically, they tampered with Tom Brady twice, in which they did 2019 when he was on the Patriots, then no later than December of 2021 when he was on the Buccaneers and trying to get him to come over. And then they also tampered by reaching out to the agent of Sean Payton while he was still under contract with the Saints. And before he announced his retirement or anything, then when he announced his retirement, they reached out to the Saints. Can we interview him? And the Saints were like, absolutely not. So, yeah, they tampered 3 times, 2 with the same player with Tom Brady. And it's Stephen Ross is now suspended through like mid-October, was fined like $1.5 million.
And he's coming back for the Steeler game against Brian Flores.
Yeah.
I feel like they write this stuff out. I feel like they do it on purpose.
Which is great.
Good catch, Tree. I saw
I
that.
just,
Okay,
I want a
saw that.
sideline cam, a hard cam on Brian Flores the entire game.
Yeah.
The entire game.
So for those unaware,
Honestly, I hope if the Steelers end up winning that game, I hope that Brian Flores just whips out his junk and just starts slapping Stephen Ross silly with it. And then he's on his knees just crying. It's like,
so for those unaware of what Tree's talking
Put it
about,
on the wheel of punishment.
basically,
How long are you
the
getting
former,
suspended for? You got a raise?
the former Miami Dolphins coach, Brian Flores, alleged that his owner would have paid him money to lose. Okay. They couldn't prove this. This is why they were not punished. But as a result of Brian Flores coming out and saying this, all of a sudden, now he's fired. Okay. Now he takes up a job as a coordinator with the Steelers. And that's basically how we got into this situation.
Well, what you're forgetting is a major point. You remember Bill
Go on.
Belichick tested Brian Flores that he got the job with the New York
job,
Giants,
man.
yet nobody announced it, and they realized, oh, wait, I texted the wrong Brian. He was
Belichick's
trying to text
5 deep
Brian
check.
Dable, who was a member of the Patriots. It's
Yeah,
like,
so
oops,
essentially-
hey, how you doing, Brian? Have a good day. And
Yeah,
that's
so
why
essentially-
he decided to start suing.
Yeah, so when Brian Flores was interviewing, right, he got fired. When he was interviewing for other jobs, Bill Belichick texted him, "Congrats," but it was the wrong Brian.
I just love the text. Do you mean Brian Dable? It's like, oops, my bad.
Like, oops.
And meanwhile, now the Dolphins, like their divisional rival, lose draft picks. Bill Belichick's like, oopsie, was that me?
So do we think Bill Belichick is
Listen,
that much of a mastermind?
Honestly, with the
I
way
wouldn't put
he's
it past
working
him.
the stuff and finessing, I think he has a shot of it. He wants chaos. He's just sitting there drinking orange juice and studying film for 10 hours a day. He wants his fun, and it's not a typical fun when you're in a film room for 10 hours. You need something exciting. You need
He's an outlet.
legitimate chaos, and I think that's what he's creating.
So since we've been gauging what is fair and what is unfair, can we agree or disagree? Was this punishment for the Dolphins fair?
They're lucky.
I disagree. I think that Stephen Ross should have been forced to get slapped by Brian Flores' chin.
There's that.
I would have liked to see. I would pay.
And it needs to be
watch that on
recorded and
NFL
put on Twitter.
When are they going to start doing like pay-per-view football games? When they start doing that? No, I think that they're really lucky because I don't know, like all that joking about, maybe we should focus more on the draft or I'll give you $100,000 to throw like games. I don't know. Like, I feel like you could take that. And that's what Flores said. Like, that was one of the statements. His disappointment of the fact that isn't being punished. So,
I mean, think about it. We got a dude that bet $1,500, not $100,000, $1,500 on a fantasy year-long suspension. An owner says, "Hey, throw a game. I'll give you $100K." He doesn't even get suspended for a season.
With Calvin Ridley, and that's the reason why it's kind of a false equivalence to compare these sort of suspensions. The NFL is trying to make sure that nobody does gambling because there's the potential of throwing or like impacting the game. That's what they're afraid of. And I don't agree with a year-long suspension either, but still, it's the reason why Pete Rose got banned for life.
Not impacting the integrity of the game just as much as betting would.
But that's the thing. I think context matters for Calvin Ridley, though. The fact that he had like no communication with the team. Like, I understand. I completely agree with Trey. Like, understand, like betting on the games as a player, bad. Even though we know all the players do it, they just do it through like their cousin or somebody else.
Yeah,
right?
That's the reason why Calvin Ridley got caught. He used a proxy that was measured in Florida, and he was in Florida at the time. He didn't use ExpressVPN or one of the other fine VPNs out there.
Well, that's my point, is that I think with Ridley, like, I think half the season would have been just fine. Like, suspend him 8 games and be like, hey, you do it again, it's a year. You know what I mean? Because it didn't actually impact the integrity of the game, in my opinion, just because he had no communication with, like, he had no like sway on the outcome or anything. Like, oh, Matt, how's your knee doing today? You know, if there was none of that, I don't know.
The thing that's interesting, going back to Brian Flores here, and I agree, the Dolphins probably got away with something. But I have to criticize Brian Flores for when they allegedly tried to pay him to tank, he wrote a letter and sent it to Dolphins executives complaining about Stephen Ross. Why would you send it to the people Stephen Ross is paying? And if you would have circumvented them and just went straight to the NFL and said, like, this just happened, and they had that sort of piece of, and that's not even evidence. That's one man's word against another man. And it's why, like, the Ridley thing, there was evidence that he did it. It's easy for the NFL, to make a punishment there and justify it. But he should not have said that internally.
Honestly, he should have pulled an Andy Dufresne, sent it to the press. They would have had
the
fun
press, a lawyer, anybody.
But
Andy Dufresne.
Andy Dufresne.
That is fair. Brandon, What's going on in training camp for the Broncos? Any news? What are you seeing coming out of your camp for the Broncos?
Oh man. Well, I mean, today James Palmer made a big gaffe on television.
What happened? Fill us
Oh,
in.
did you guys not see that?
We don't know about Broncos stuff, bro. We only know about our teams. You got to tell
Well-
us everything about the Broncos.
Okay. Let me just get this up here.
But like that's serious. I really only know about Cowboy stuff and some NFC East. I have to get filled in on everything else.
Honestly, the Tim Patrick injury was the really big news. Russ looks really good. Jerry Jeudy is looking great or dropping balls, depending on which troll Twitter account you follow.
That's right.
Let me. This was, and I love James Palmer, but he put his foot in his mouth here. Let's see here.
That's right.
That's right. Can you guys hear that?
A little bit.
Ian, are you okay? You were tackled? Are you okay?
I've been through a lot worse.
Listen, if Ian thinks he can survive in a Russian prison, which apparently he believes, a tackle from Nathaniel Hackett is the least of his problems.
That was not really for air, but sure. I'd say that's good.
James Palmer, just pull back the curtain on the conversation we had off the air during the commercial. We're happy to report that he is okay.
What the heck?
Hold on. Did he say he thought he could survive? First of all, I did not know Ian Rappaport was that short. I didn't know.
Oh
that.
yeah, he's short.
I did not know that he was.
He's like my height.
But I'm sorry. Did Ian Rappaport tell him that he could survive in a Russian prison?
Well, they're having a conversation off air apparently about that. And obviously, that's in reference to is it Brittany Griner and her sentence of 9 years in the Russian prison,
9 years.
which is just a horrible situation going on. So they must have had a conversation off air.
Oh my god!
Guessing Ian Rappaport's making a joke like I could survive in a Russian prison. And then James Palmer thought that would be a good thing to reference on live
Why
television.
is James Palmer pressing Ian like this on air? What the?
I think Ian now has to go to a Russian prison, and he still has to be able to send out all the NFL updates, but it has to be in Russian. Like the entire, so people have to
every
translate
time he
it
goes
every
on
time.
McAfee show, he has to be from a Russian prison.
I can't believe that. That's wild.
So that's what's going on at Broncos camp today.
That's what's going on. That is the new punishment. We have to go to Russia and survive.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. I mean,
What is going on in Steelers camp? Any news? Anything exciting? Injuries?
well, we got the quarterback drama. Apparently, Deontay Johnson got extended for 2 years in a bridge contract, so he'll get paid a good bit before he goes to UFA status and probably gets paid by another team. Because, I mean, we already have some wide receivers. George Pickens is having some big catches, and he is like the big wide out. So he'll probably be really good, and then he will probably run himself out of town due to his antics in about 3 years because that's how Steelers wide receivers are. As I said, for the quarterback option as well, you have to consider everybody wants Kenny Pickett. There's rumors that Mason Rudolph will be in starting contention, and all of Pittsburgh is melting down because they apparently think Mason Rudolph is the worst quarterback we've had since Neil O'Donnell.
He is. He is.
Well, I think he was at least as good as Ben was last year, as bad as that was.
Okay.
Trubisky apparently missed 7 straight short passes, so everyone's panicking over that as well. So it's good times with Steeler football, which means we're going to fluke our way to 9 or 10 wins. I can't wait.
If you had to say right now who's going to be the starting quarterback, what's your gut telling you?
Trubisky.
Yeah, Mitch.
True.
Okay.
And they'll put in Kenny throughout the season if Mitch struggles.
In Packers training camp, what's the news? What's exciting? Any injury reports? Who's in? Who's looking good?
Jair had some
something with
tightness, but again, Romeo Dobbs, and because people say Dubs, but he said Dobbs, so it's just confusing. Anyway, Romeo Dobbs is having an incredible camp. Jordan Love actually had a really good practice, like arguably the best one of his 3 years that he's been in there. That was coming from Rodgers. That was coming from Matt LaFleur. That he was playing really, really well yesterday. So I was like,
Packers trying to trade him for a receiver, I see.
So just saying, watch out. If Jordan Love is the next Hall of Fame QB, watch out.
In
Yeah,
Cowboys
it was mentioned
go on.
in the chat. The Broncos did add a knight to their ownership group in race car driving legend Sir Lewis Hamilton. Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton. Basically like the most decorated race car driver ever, or tied with like the most wins and or records. But bottom line, the Broncos ownership group finally got somebody cool involved. Prior it had been Walmart, Condoleezza Rice,
And his name is Alexander Hamilton.
Oh yeah, I've been listening to how much BS Hamilton is recently too. The
Lewis or Alexander?
Alexander Lewis Hamilton, no BS. He's just a knight. He's
Lewis
a knighted
Hamilton
of the King's Army.
In
Whatever.
Cowboys
drive,
camp,
probably 10.
we have this is what Jerry Jones said. Okay, Jerry Jones said we are comfortable with the receivers we have, which sent all of Cowboys Nation into depression.
Yes, he
right?
is.
Some beat reporters are saying things like the Cowboys are not all in, right? Stephen Jones was asked, hey, the Rams, they traded all their picks and they won a Super Bowl. Would you guys consider doing something like that? He said, you know what? We're taking a different approach. We're glad that the Rams approach worked, but we're going to take a different approach. Here's why I'm not freaking out over both of those statements. Because there's a receiver named Simi Fehoko, and he has been impressive. He's 6'5", okay? And he's been very impressive.
It's like Brandon.
Thus far in camp. Also, Jalen Tolbert has been very impressive in camp. So
6'5".
as long as we have no injuries, we might be fine. We might not need to sign another receiver. James Washington went down. He's injured.
Yeah, he's out for 6 to 10 weeks.
This man cannot catch a break, period.
Mm-hmm. He couldn't even break his foot. It was just, it was a fracture. Trevon Diggs, by the way, damaging the team as always. He's getting burned on a lot of targets. So have fun.
So he's already in midseason form.
Yeah, he's gonna get like 5 picks, and everyone's gonna think he's elite. Speaking of which, have you guys been paying attention to Trevor Penning?
I literally was just about to bring this up because of that comment. Yeah. He
literally got fights for 3 consecutive days.
3 straight days he got into fights.
Like he is Jon Snow with the sword, just holding it, just ready to start fighting people. And the Saints are like,
he's just
get out.
Because he was like, what wasn't he like one of the most penalized offensive linemen in college football? Like
one of them, him and Tyler Smith, but apparently he's
just
been doing
driving people into the ground. I'm like, oh boy, that's gonna be a lot of holding penalties.
Like he's just like punching them in the ground, like he's pulling the whole Vontae
straight down.
Thing. It's like kneeing them in the head.
Yeah, it's like that's the attitude you want from your lineman, though. You know what I mean?
You gotta
like,
control
I think he's gonna be really good based only on his fighting so far. He's got that lineman mentality, man.
Got that dog in him.
He could be a good NHL enforcer in the early 2000s. He didn't need to do anything but just fight.
Who's the best enforcer of all time in the NHL?
Probably Bob Probert. I would have to say Marty McSorley's one of them.
McSorley,
Trace McSorley?
Tiger Williams.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Williams.
Tiger
Woods is a pretty good enforcer, though.
Is there anything else that we would like to discuss, or should we get into the donations early today?
No. You guys need to keep donating to Tree, Scooter, and Tom.
No, I think today should be an early day. If there's nothing else on the docket, I say we just wrap it up.
Tree, are you happy? Because we never really elaborated. Are you happy about the Deontay Johnson extension? It's only 2 years.
Right. I mean, you expected like they weren't going to go long term because they know how to flip receivers pretty quickly. They just wanted to get him back in camp, and the way to do that was to pay him. And especially with Jacksonville, by the way, thank you, morons, for completely borking the wide receiver market. We absolutely appreciate it.
Hey,
You gotta pay him.
It's also the Cardinals too. It's also because that DeAndre Hopkins
No. It was Jacksonville because if they didn't pay Christian Kirk $18 million, Tyreek Hill's still a Chief. Devontae Adams might still be a Packer. A.J. Brown's still a Titan. And Deebo Samuel and Deontay Johnson don't have their holdouts.
I'm just saying that maybe that DeAndre Hopkins deal that they did completely broke the market because then Devontae Adams turned around and said, I want that much money. And they paid him like a stupid amount of money because
it's because
on top of the Texans deal.
Christian Kirk was paid as a top 5 wideout at the time of his contract. I'm like, wait, this guy's a number 2 wideout. Why am I getting paid less than him? So that's why everyone got paid.
Scooter doesn't have it yet.
So that's what I was just about to say. My punishment for winning last week and the week prior, I had to watch every season of Coach. And I did. I live streamed it.
And the East and West.
And the East and West saga and the AFC. Bro, I watched everything. Everything related to Coach has been live streamed and watched. Tom watched them with me. What the heck? Sure. Tom was giving me director's notes.
I called him during one point because he was very confused.
It was wild. You can go watch the streams back right now. They're on my channel. But I have to finish the punishment. I did not have enough time to rank my top 10. The problem is, I was watching long cuts.
Ooh.
What the heck?
Somebody donated $100 on Twitch. Ooh, we got to add that to your
total.
We
got him.
I don't even know if Twitch pays me yet.
Don't worry, you can go
to
Amazon.
Still talking about ayahuasca in my comments.
The point is this: I still got to rank my top 10 favorite episodes. The problem is I watched them all in a supercut, so I got to go back and individually see. Right now, I only got my favorite number 1, and that was the Nightmare episode. Do not watch that late at night. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. I gotta get the others ranked, but favorite episode by far is that Nightmare episode. We got VFX in this episode. It was wild, bro. It's crazy. So we'll see. I will get that list to you. But if there's no further things on the agenda, let's start the countdown.
Oh, real quick, because people have been asking, right? Perna, you're good for the 25th, right?
Yeah.
Tree, you're good for the 25th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, because they've been asking. Clickbait D&D will be on August 25th. Okay? Thursday, August 25th. We got a professional DM coming in, and it's going to be a wild time. It's going to be a wild time. That is all. So mark your calendar.
So many tips on my Patreon hangouts for the D&D, and I may be bringing in some Patreon members to help me make some strategic plays during the game.
I got to get up. I got to figure out how to do it. I'm about to win. I don't even know. Can you win?
Well, it's a group game, so
it's a group game
together.
But we are definitely going to wind up killing each other. There is no doubt about that at all. At all. So
someone start the countdown.
20, 19, 18, 17, 16.
Oh, you mean the countdown that keeps getting copyright claimed on Facebook? Sure.
Really? How does
so
that
weird.
get claimed on Facebook? It's public domain.
20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 4. Just how many of the Cowboys receivers are gonna score? None. Yes, that's right. They got no one to throw the ball to. Let's just not talk about the Packers because they're in a similar situation. And honestly, then it makes me look like a hypocrite if I'm bashing them. So, I mean, it could be bad.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll start. We are at 26.99. We are in the clear. Thank you guys for the 26.
I'm at 262.94.
Oh boy.
So I didn't lose. So it's between Tree and Perna. Either we are going to get by the way, Scooter, before we reveal, I want you to know, because you might not be in the loop, we're either going to get a French Brandon Perna, who is going to be shirtless in a scarf and a beret and everything, and it's going to be beautiful.
Okay.
Or a lot of the chat is wanting Tree to do a Lenny monologue.
That was
Lenny.
my
Who
suggestion.
is Lenny?
You'll
You mean
find out.
Lenny from Mice and Men?
No,
That's-
no, no, no. You're not gonna look at the rabbits. You're not looking at the rabbits.
You'll find
But I
out.
want to tend the rabbits.
You can't look at just look at the rabbits.
Honestly, that's a win-win for me. So
It's
let's
a
find out.
win-win.
Let's
All
find
right,
out.
But
what
remember,
we're
you have to
getting
add that hundo that you got from Twitch too, Brandon.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it on
It was in
Twitch.
bits. Apparently, bought you bits.
Oh. Ooh.
Yes, lots of bits.
So Tree, what do you got?
426.53.
426.53. Perna.
443.38.
Put on that maid outfit, baby.
Wait, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to do, too. All right. Because I'm behind on a punishment. So somebody else also suggested I have to dress up like the late, great Al Davis with his slick back hair, his sunglasses, the all white
Oh, and the white.
Raiders jacket. So halfway through the show, I will switch from French shirtless whatever guy to Al Davis to make up for the last punishment that I barely even. I'm supposed to go to
Guys,
Walmart.
I will not
just
be
don't
here
think
the
I'm
next
doing it.
two clickbaits. I will be on a mission trip in Africa. So
With Tom
pray for
Cruise.
me that everything goes smoothly, the travel and all that stuff.
Where are you going in Africa?
I don't know if I am allowed to say that for
Oh.
safety reasons, but we'll be visiting prisons. We'll be at some orphanages. Should be a good time. Should be a good time. So just keep me in prayer if you are a believer.
Perna,
Yes,
what
stay
do you got
safe,
coming out?
Scooter. I dropped a video today basically talking about everything we talked about in this episode. So
Nailed
check it out, baby.
Tree?
I am going to be I'm working on a vid for the MLB trade deadline, hoping to have that out in the next few days.
Okay. Scoots, you got anything coming out in the next 2 weeks or?
I got Cowboys fans during training camp. Got to add this Anthony Barr stuff into it. And then I'll probably have like a Lakers video that I'll hope doesn't get messed up during the time that I'm overseas. And hopefully all the stuff is still current when I release that video about a week
Solid.
into the future. We'll
Solid.
see.
All right. Great. I got Friday. Are we doing GPS tomorrow, Perna? Probably not. Right, there's like nothing really to talk about. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right. So Friday night Q&A tomorrow. No coach on Saturday. It's
Tom
done.
gets his Saturday back.
First time in 2 months. But folks, we send you out with this. Thank you so much for watching Clickbait Sports. Godspeed.
Hopefully, we will finally be canceled sooner rather than later. But unfortunately, we keep getting dragged out. So you know what? I don't know why we're doing this. It's a punishment.
Can't wait to see that next week.
I forgot Adam was even part of this show.
Yeah, I think he did too.
Let's go there. Margarita. Is this a French accent?
He's a nice.
Very nice. I'm a French.
I like.
You kids stop
Oh,
talking.
look at that knife.